Hello, this is Kev of the Black Dimension, and I come to this broadcast as kind of a fan of the television show The Walking Dead. Um, Also, like I pretty much got into the television series before I actually knew of the comic book because it was a friend of mine that recommended that I binge watch the first season, which is nothing but 6 episodes on Netflix. He said, "Man, this is a really good show, man. You should check it out, The Walking Dead." And I didn't listen for weeks, so but I finally checked it out and I was hooked. By the time I first saw the show, the first half of the second season was already done on AMC, and it was during the break of waiting on the mid season premiere. So yeah, it's a pretty good show. The Walking Dead is the story of not this guy, but this guy right here, Rick Grimes. Yeah, and I feel like here's the question being posed today on this particular broadcast, and I promise you guys I won't take up too much of your time. There are a couple of articles that was released saying that the series ratings decline is because of Negan, and and they do show empirical data that shows that ever since Negan entered the show, that there was a huge ratings decline. So anyway, before we go any further, I'm going to ask you to do this. If you haven't, please subscribe to this channel by going below the screen to the lower right hand part. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and hit that like button. You know, yeah. We are the Black Dimension, your newest favorite, most favoritist channel for your entertainment, news, and discussions. So anyway, Negan, I can't say that I agree with this holistically, but let's take a look at one of these articles, shall we? Let's see. All right. Yeah, here we go. Now this is off comicbook.com. Data shows The Walking Dead declined when Negan arrived. Um, Yes, and let's go see what the article says. The Walking Dead had a decline in viewer ratings when Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, joined the zombie drama, according to data collected from the IMDb. Um, okay, a lot of fans were upset, and there's the IMDb ratings. That they made up a little graph showing. And this little red arrow right here is Negan's debut. Was Last Day on Earth. And it does show a little up down, like whatever episodes were these, they weren't very watched. Then it started to steadily climb, and when it looks like it climbed back up when it got to season 10. So the Walking Dead, I don't know, I think it was just normal for the Walking Dead to do something like that, but that this graph right here does show a significant dip. But I just really don't think it was just Negan. I mean, saying, I would say that I'm a huge fan of the character of Negan himself in the comic book and in the television series, and I think that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is knocking it out. In fact, I will go as far as to say this: in the current season, Negan is the best character. Negan's my favorite part, and let me warn you guys. There are going to be some television show spoilers and comic book spoilers ahead. Um, so let's get this underway. All right. I think a lot of the ratings decline right now has to do with the fact that when you have a story centered around one character, which is the Walking Dead originally and from the comic book, is without a doubt the story of Rick Grimes. I think, and the actor Andrew Lincoln wanted to leave the show to go home to jolly old England to raise his sons. Seeing that his sons were babies and toddlers when he first started the show, and now they were just becoming teenagers. I mean, they're over there in the UK. He's in Georgia filming the show year after year after year with very short term visits. I mean, one can't get tired of that. Plus, the father needs to be in his son's life, especially. So who can blame the man for wanting to lead the show? I mean, he certainly made enough money, and there are some, from what I hear, some Rick Grimes projects on the horizon. So just be on the lookout for those. But like either way, when Rick Grimes departed from the show, and spoiler running for the show, the character does survive, and only time will tell as to if he will return to complete the circle of his fate as it lays out in the comic book. For those of you who haven't read the comics, my recommendation is that you shut off this video right now because I'm about to give away a major spoiler. Yes, the Walking Dead comic has ended. The Walking Dead comic has ended. It has ended with the death of. It ended not with the death of Rick Grimes. Rick Grimes does die toward the end, but it ends with the zombies being very, very manageable. In fact, they're not even that much of a threat anymore, and society developed into something very new. So, but it doesn't look from the television series. It doesn't look like it's going that way. Yeah, just also, but there was also a lot of bad death decisions made too. Like for I thought that was a very stupid decision. I really did. I really think that there was some stuff going on back behind the scenes with the actor Chandler Riggs, and Scott Gimple ended up firing him, and by firing him, it played out as his character being killed off in the show. I, for one, think that was a very stupid decision story wise. Um, but I do kind of see it because Chandler Riggs was going really past the age of the character's progress in the comic book, and really that couldn't be helped if you want to tell a story that moves everything along. Um, okay, but one thing that I do like one thing that I do think that happened was like the introduction of new characters. And how should I put it? Um, Kind of like The Walking Dead is following the trend that every other movie and television show is following. Is like they go into this whole thing called diversity. They try to do a diverse array of characters, and I don't have any problem with that. I just feel like this particular set of characters right here, which was Magna's group, which was a group that came like right after the Savior conflict. Um, they in the television series for what they're trying to do with the characters as inserting them in very um, important positions. These characters feel very forced. Um, and it feels very woke too. But I'll get to the woke part because everybody's been saying woke lately. But I'll show you what I mean. The only name that I know actually in this picture is three of them. Magna, which was a very important character in the comic book. Sadiq, who, by the way, television show spoiler, was killed in the season finale, not the mid season finale. Um, Judith Grimes, who comic book spoiler died in her mother's arms as a baby, in a very gruesome fashion, by the way. And this happened way back during the governor arc. It actually that one act actually led to one of the governor's death. Forgive me for calling myself a Walking Dead fan. I have no idea what Balls of Fury right here is named. Balls of Fury being a movie he starred in a long time ago. Um, I have no idea what her name is. All I know about this girl is that she's deaf, but she's deaf. She can't hear, but she's quite a charming character. And I don't know her name. Like I said, the only three names I know is Magna, Sadiq, and Judith. And being a fan of The Walking Dead, I'm just trying to make the point where, you got a bunch of new characters that probably aren't really resonating with the Walking Dead fan base. I mean, I show you what I mean. There's old Rick Grimes. All right. I feel like this one right here was another ill-timed death. Tom Paine's Jesus character, which who I think is still alive in the comics. Was it necessary to kill him to move the story along? No, I think that this was like one of those other stupid deaths. Could have been some things going on behind the scenes, but it's just you can't just blame one thing for this. You can't just blame just Negan. Just Negan. In fact, hell, I think Negan is the best. If I haven't said this already, I think Negan is the best part of season 10. Like seriously. I mean, he's still smug, wisecracking, and from one of the episodes, just as ruthless, and we'll dispatch a motherfucker just to keep it going. Um, yeah, that's what I was talking about. The death of Carl Grimes, like I said, the death of Carl Grimes was really stupid. It was really stupid and unnecessary, and you could have written a better story for him. I mean, actor's age, and Chandler Riggs, probably, he was fired. It wasn't that I want to go and be a regular kid. He was fired. So, okay, comic book spoiler. Now, honestly, this probably would be the only reason why I'm watching The Walking Dead right now. Is like I want to see Negan do this right here. Uh, Negan in this television show has infiltrated the Whisperers camp. Um, and just winning the trust. It was real funny. His interactions with Beta on the television show. Beta thought he left Negan for dead, that he was going to die, and Negan walked up and shouted real loud, "Give him a goddamn skin suit!" Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan is so funny to me. He's hilarious. But yes, in the comic book, Negan, who look like a maybe early to mid 30s guy, kind of got a little size on him. He's not as big as Beta. And has a slick back hairstyle. And his expression was just, "Hey, you know what?" Kind of like "fuck you" kind of deal. Um, in the comic book, Negan has a really bad anti-rape policy. He displayed that when killing one of his men for trying to rape Sasha back. I think this was mid season 7. Um, yeah, and one thing that he did observe was that the Whisperers were basically anarchic, which means that they just they just they just took they just took whatever woman they wanted and they just brutally raped her, just used her how they wanted because Alpha had this big old survival. If you allow something to happen to you, you deserved it because just cause. And Negan wasn't like that at all. Like he would kill a person for attempting to rape anyone. So that just said that he stated to David, the guy that he who throat he slit, basically said, "I wouldn't want to be here. People were just raping folks." So so when he discovered that Alpha was allowing women to get raped inside the Whisperers camp, he like was in a secluded spot. She came to talk to him. Basically trying like was gonna try to let him go, do her little alpha fade, but is Negan is a very psychological character. So Negan talked like he really like mind fucked her right before he did her in. And I hope the show is able to pull this off uh really good. Like this is a very shocking, gruesome death. In fact, this could probably arguably be the moment in the Whisperer arc, besides the head spike thing. Um, yeah, look at him, just let go. That's it. Just really ruthless and just without any kind of remorse. And let's say it couldn't have happened to a better person at that time than Alpha. I mean, she was actually worse than what Negan did to people. So I mean, like this is really the only thing that's keeping me watching The Walking Dead right now. I want to see this moment played out because I got to tell you, a lot of fans, okay, and they talk about this decline. A lot of fans did rage quit because Negan bashed Glenn's skull in with a baseball bat. Now, as a fan, I was wondering were they actually going to go that far and show it? And yes, they did. Now, this is a picture of Negan and Jadis. Jadis, don't remember her being in the comic book, but I do have some fill-in issues to read. But as far as as far as Negan being just being the reason for the ratings decline, I think that's just a lie. I think what's happening is that we find ourselves being more in this culture to where we're trying to appropriate and we're trying to force acceptance on the things, and maybe that's the reason for the decline. Um, like I'll make this point right here. Like I found this on the Walking Dead's Instagram. And look what it says at the bottom. Not that I have a true problem with this. Uh, okay, it says the AMC The Walking Dead. Some people are born to lead. Who is this? Like, it's like, why are you saying this if this character hasn't resonated at all? This is what I'm talking about. You're trying to force some things into existence and things just are what they are. Yeah, I mean, I can look up her name real quick, but I don't know this character's name. I don't. I don't. Maybe she was a character in the comic book. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of the comic book I still haven't read, but I read a lot of the key parts in the comic book. So, but it's like this. This person right here, I don't think has had enough development whatsoever to put her over characters like Daryl, Carol, King Ezekiel, Rosita, Eugene. Maybe Eugene still kind of. I mean, he's gotten through the zombie apocalypse and he's learned how to work just like everybody else and kill one if he has to. Yeah, when Eugene first came in, he was pathetic. But what I'm saying is, we don't even know this character enough to even put her in a head position. I mean, I don't have problems with females leading or anything, but I would have said the same thing if you tried to put Michael McDonald right here in the lead position. Oh, besides, his head ended up on a spike, so he was just fodder for the Whisperers. That was his whole character's purpose. And really, honestly, I think Sadiq, that was kind of a dumb, deaf decision too. Basically, that's the show's last connection to Carl Grimes, like serious, like besides Judith Grimes and Michonne being there and the ones who know him, Carl ended up saving Sadiq so he can live among the survivors. And that was the one thing that led to Carl's death. Carl got bitten by a walker, saving Sadiq. So really, just that they're just like it. I don't really think it's because of Negan. I think it's because of somewhat lazy storytelling and missed opportunities. It and people do this stuff all the time. It's like, okay, it's not because of this, or it's not because of the mistake I made. It has to be because of somebody, you know, Dante. Whatnot. Yes, yeah, they'll throw Dante under the bus. And I thought it was really weird once Dante killed Sadiq, how Rosita was able to physically overtake Dante, who was 3, 4 times bigger than Rosita. Like I said, I understand, you're trying to shoehorn, messages by saying, hey, you know what, the women can beat up the men too. But in real life, Dante would have torn Rosita apart. I mean, they tried to justify it with the stab in the shoulder, but Dante was a big mother. Yeah, yeah. But big ups to Father Gabriel for dispatching Dante for us by doing what was similar to what I like to call a gratuitous prison shanking. Um, and ironically, he killed him inside of a cell that was built for Negan. I mean, it was built as a holding cell, maybe not for Negan, but Negan stayed there for a number of years. Yeah, and that's why Negan is so cool. Negan was able to infiltrate a camp that barely let no outsiders in. And I think his story arc probably is going to play out with the death of Alpha because The Walking Dead probably will the original Walking Dead television series probably will last uh episode 11, well, not episode, I'm sorry. Oh, please forgive me. They probably have a season 11. They probably have a season 12. I mean, but with certain character departures like Denai Guerrero, she's about to leave, and I don't care what anybody say. A black female swordsman in any continuity of story is just badass to me. And definitely the story is going to be missing something with Michonne gone. Because once Michonne is introduced in the comic book spoiler, she stays to the end. She stays to the very end. And actually, I think she ends up being a judge, along with survivors Carl Grimes and Sophia. Sophia, who died in season two. And it was the key moment and Sophia's death was the key moment in The Walking Dead that actually solidified Rick Grimes' spot as the leader of the survivors. But in the comic book, she ends up being with Carl and they end up having a child. Like I said, the Walking Dead story was originally intended to be centered around Rick Grimes and the survival of his son Carl. And right now, that show is definitely missing that. What I would say for a ratings uptick is bringing Rick Grimes back. Don't know how possible that is, seeing that he left the show because, hey, he wanted to be with his family. Who can blame him? Who can blame him? I don't. I certainly don't. But it just happened like that. And hopefully, whatever new character they put on there is good, well written. The story is great. But I, as a fan of the Walking Dead television series from the beginning, I just don't want anything to feel forced. So I hope that I stated my case a little bit, to where maybe you'll see where I'm coming from. Maybe you won't. But definitely, for the guy who's responsible for one of the most viral moments in Facebook and social media history, because when he bashed Glenn Skull in, it trended hard. Like I said, as a fan who read it in the comic book first, I didn't think the television series would go that far, but it most certainly did. And I, just like everyone else who was watching, mouths were wide open. There was a whole slew of YouTube videos showing the reaction to him killing both Abraham and Glenn. And that is one thing that is consistent besides the inconsistencies that The Walking Dead television series has presented as far as its comic book continuity. One thing is for certain is that Negan does kill Glenn in that fashion in both the comic book and the television series. Abraham's death happened much earlier. Abraham actually had like a few episodes longer than he was supposed to. So Abraham was actually there just to increase the dramatic impact of Negan not only killing one of Rick's gang, but killing two of Rick's gang, while the rest of the gang was on their knees in absolute fear for their lives. What an impactful moment. What an impactful character. And like I said, I really just honestly, as a fan, do not believe that Negan is the reason for the ratings decline. I just don't. If he is, it's just a tiny little bit and a bunch of other stuff. But as far as the mid-season premiere from then on, I'm looking forward to seeing that moment. I hope they don't change it. I don't know if they changed it or not. Maybe Daryl does it. Maybe Carol does it because of the animosity between her and Alpha and another character that exists beyond what she did in the comic book. Character like one of the best character evolutions in the show to me is Carol Peltier. Carol went from an abused wife who seemed pretty helpless at first to an absolute badass. But the way her character's written in season 10, it makes her seem like an impulsive, emotional person. It's actually they've regressed the character of Carol somewhat. I mean, but at the same time, if you understand what has happened with Carol, I could kind of understand that maybe she just a little sick and tired of being a little sick and tired. But like I said, that's probably the one moment that does not need to change. Please, like spoiler again, please let Negan kill Alpha. To me, Negan won't need to do anything else in that show. I hope they don't change it. I hope they don't give it to somebody else. That right there is Negan's moment in the Whisperer Roar. Oh yeah, besides the death of Lucille, kind of. Another comic book spoiler. Yeah, the baseball bat breaks when he hits Beta over the back with it, and he has this little stupid funeral for it, which was hilarious. But anyway, I'm done for now. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. If you are much of a fan of The Walking Dead and Negan as I am, or you might even be a bigger fan, and that's cool. But this is Kev. This is the Black Dimension. Let me stop this screen sharing, and I am out of here. Thank you for watching. Remember to go below your screen and hit the subscribe button, and we will keep bringing you some of the best in entertainment news that we can possibly bring you. Thank you very much, and so long.